A few weeks ago, somebody dumped a barrel of some kind of foul chemical into a storm sewer in Edmonton. It ran into the river and made the water taste awful, and they even had to shut down one of the water plants for a while. Naturally, the citizens were outraged and wanted the criminal that did it brought to justice. But nobody would have even noticed if he had simply dumped the stuff on the ground somewhere or dug a little hole and poured it in. In fact, we've done that kind of thing for years and still do. It's starting to catch up with us, though. Our groundwater is becoming polluted, and once it is, it takes decades or even centuries to clean itself up. Water in lakes, rivers, and oceans can be at least partially cleaned up by microbes, sunlight, and even oxygen. But groundwater moves in aquifers, slow-moving underground rivers that seep through the soil like water through a sponge. And there's nothing down there to clean it up. No bacteria, sunlight, or oxygen. So it stays polluted for a long time. Last year, an entrepreneur in New Brunswick, for example, decided he'd brew European-style beer. He drilled a well near Moncton, thinking he'd have a good source of pure water. But the water from his new well was polluted with aviation fuel dumped from aircraft stationed there during the Second World War. In fact, gasoline is one of our most serious groundwater pollution problems. There are about 200,000 underground storage tanks in Canada. Experts with Shell Canada, the American Petroleum Institute, and Environment Canada estimate that between 20 and 40% of those tanks leak, and they leak an average of 2.2 liters per hour. Even if only 20% of the tanks are leaking, that means more than 2 million liters of gasoline are seeping into our groundwater every day. And 1 liter of gasoline can make 1 million liters of water undrinkable for a long time. In New Brunswick alone, more than 500 water wells have been polluted by petroleum leaks since 1979. But petroleum products aren't the only problem. Last year, the folks in Fairvale, New Brunswick, discovered the aquifer they depend on for drinking water is contaminated with perchloroethylene from a neighborhood dry cleaning plant. And then there are pesticides. In areas where high-priced crops like fruits and vegetables are grown, pesticides in the well water can be fairly common. 9 out of 21 randomly sampled wells in Abbotsford, BC had traces of the insecticide 1,2-dichloropropane, for example. In the cherry-growing country around Osoyoos, BC, Environment Canada found traces of various pesticides in every well it sampled. A couple of years ago, the Ontario Agriculture Department tested 39 farm wells used to supply water for pesticide spraying. 30% of those wells were contaminated with pesticides. Nitrate pollution of the groundwater has been found in agriculture areas right across the country, too, mainly caused by petrochemical fertilizers. And then, of course, there are the old standbys that everybody has already been worrying about for the last few years. The industrial waste dumps, like those that have contaminated the aquifers under Stouffville and Aurora, Ontario. Now, that doesn't mean we're out of good groundwater. We still have plenty left, but we are losing it. And worse yet, we're still polluting. Besides, we have very few laws to control pollution, or even programs to monitor the groundwater. Maybe 1987 could be the year we start doing something about groundwater pollution. Our grandchildren will thank us for it. I'm Noel McNaughton.